we now turn our attention to the Dartmouth Big Green. And we're going to be welcoming in their head coach, David McLaughlin, along with junior forwards Brandon Mitchell-Day and Jackson Munro, as David is going to be in his ninth year, eighth season. And they also are going to be bringing back plenty of returning talent, though they did lose their top scorer, Dusan Neshkovich, who averaged 16 points per game and made a team high 49 threes, as well as Jaron Johnson, who is one of their best rebounders and defensive players. So we are going to hear from the head coach shortly, as we also have Brandon and Jackson on the call, and we'll get to both players in a minute as well, as David just popped up, so we can help set the stage for the upcoming season. David, it's great to see you. Always good to chat with you. I'll extend the floor to you first to provide an opening statement.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate it, and appreciate everything you do for our league. And I know we've talked a little bit about where the league is nationally, and a lot has to do with people like you who really promote it. So thank you very much for that. I'm really excited about this group. I'm looking at on my screen. I'm looking at two young men that are very important to our group. But we've had a very good preseason, very good first 9 or 10 practices so far, and we were pretty clear to the guys. We need to find a way this year, absolutely find a way to play more disciplined, play unselfish, really, really work together to play a tough brand of basketball, a kind of basketball that is smart and disciplined, and fast at the same time. So we're introducing some new concepts. I think the guys have really bought into that, really, really competed at both ends. And I think it's going to be an exciting brand of ball on both ends. And you need it in this league. This league is so good. It's so competitive. Teams are incredibly well coached. The talent level, it just seems to be getting better and better every year. It seems like we have an old league every year, which is hard to fathom. And I just think it's really important that we have an identity, we form an identity, we keep working to that identity of playing that, smart, disciplined, tough brand of basketball. We are communicating on the court, and we're playing fast. And when I mean fast, it's unselfish in a way to make us difficult to cover on one end, and communicating so we can get stops that we need to on the defensive end.
David, the brand of basketball that you're referencing that you want to see implemented, how much does that stem from losing Dushan and his 16 points and needing to maybe have a few guys fill that void as opposed to one player in particular?
Yeah, we played through Dushan a lot last year. We need to play through all five guys more than we have in the past, and we need to do that in transition. We need to do that in the half court, and part of that is executing. And we need to take advantage of the talents and the skill sets that we have, and really allow guys to play to their strengths as much as we can. So yes, we'll be featuring guys as everyone does, but I feel like we want a style where more guys are touching the ball every possession, and like I said, just being, coming with a disciplined mindset, coming with a mindset that, hey, when we leave this gym, they're going to say we were tough, they talked every possession, and they were a really, really unselfish group.
The reason I emphasize, David, the scoring, when you look back at the development and the ins and outs of the Ivy League schedule specifically, less than 60 points in 9 of your 14 league games. And I'm sure that obviously was on your radar. When you look back, does it come back to needing to improve the offensive production? Or are you still saying, hey, there's areas on the defensive side of the ball that could have easily been difference makers as well? How would you best, I guess, assess what you saw out of Ivy League play a year ago?
Yeah, both sides of the ball. We took a deep dive. I did personally took a deep dive last spring in the postseason. We structured our spring workouts differently than we had in the past, and really just wanted a completely competitive environment. And we have to make changes on both sides of the ball, and that's okay. And to our guys' credit, they've been incredibly flexible in terms of being willing to learn, being willing to ask questions, and trust us. And we have to be able to, yes, score more points on one side of the ball, and we have to be a team that can get stops on command. A good defensive team is a team that can get stops on command. When you need a stop, you have to be able to get it and rebound the ball. And then we have to just be better and more efficient on the offensive end. That starts with taking care of the basketball. We didn't do a great job of that last year. that stems right into your shot selection. And it all is about playing fast yet playing unselfish at the same time.
And I would think somebody that could help a few of those causes, David, that you just mentioned, is the return of Ryan Cornish, who was banged up last season, sidelined for the final 2 months. Him returning with the two guys that we have on this call, what can that offer the dynamics of your team?
Yeah, Ryan is a special talent. He played his first game probably mid-August. He was recovering from surgery, and I think he's still getting his feet wet right now. He's showing up every day, he's working hard, and he has these moments where you're like, man, that's a great play. But then also some other moments where you're like, he still has to get back. It's been a while for him. No doubt he is a huge part of what we want to do. He plays well with both Brandon and Jackson, who you guys are going to hear from in a second here. But yeah, he's a great weapon, but also a true, like a real competitor.
I look at the junior class, David, and I was even talking about this with Columbia because I could argue, I think Jim Engels is in the same boat where you've developed a cluster of guys and now really you can reap the rewards. And specifically, the two players that we have on the call here, Jackson and Brandon, and then I'm going to throw in Jaden Williams. And I remember having conversations with you last season about his development, his length. Not to pin it on three guys in particular, but how big could those three players be in terms of this team taking the next step?
Yeah, so I'm not going to call them the big three. I would like to call them the big three by the time they graduate. That would be cool. But they are very talented individually. They are incredibly close collectively. They each have a different skill set to the game, so their games complement each other really well. They put their faith in us when they decided to come here. They all had a ton of recruitment, and they've had opportunity, right? So through that opportunity comes development, and I'm really excited to see in this third year how that development continues. We're leaning on them in a lot of ways, just as we are our five-person senior class. And I'm excited to see them rise to that occasion.
I like the big three. I may have to adopt that from a broadcasting perspective if I have your permission. And, you did it the hard way in terms of recruiting and developing as opposed to going out into free agency like we see in the NBA and plucking some of the superstars. So I like what you're selling there, David. I'm going to circle back to you. I want to bring in the two players that we were just referencing. Brandon, maybe no better place to start. What do you think of that nickname, the Big Three, and how big do you think the three of you can be this season in helping shape the direction of this team?
Yeah, like Coach Max said, we are definitely a really close group. I mean, all of us are roommates right now, so we're always around each other 24/7. But like you said, we all have different personalities, different play styles, so we definitely play a big role in complementing each other on and off the court. But definitely over the summer, we've all taken a big step in our leadership, and I think that's going to be what puts us over that hump and makes us the better team overall.
You actually just piqued my interest by saying that the three of you all live together because I think that can open up a variety of other conversation. But how does that help foster what's going on the court? The fact that you're spending so much more time off the court and developing into leaders, but also from a chemistry standpoint. How do you think those things correlate with one another?
I would definitely say it's a cheat code. I mean, sometimes we can just read each other's minds at some points. Like I can give Jackson a certain look and he'll know what I'm thinking without even having to say a word. So I think just from knowing each other and just being around each other so much, we can tell what each other are thinking sometimes without even having to communicate it. So I think that definitely gives us a little something that not a lot of other teams have.
I want to focus, Brendan, on your development. You went from playing 17 minutes a game 2 years ago to 25 last season, and clearly your numbers showed that. You were the top rebounder, the top shot blocker. You shot a team best 45% from the field. What do you attribute to why your game was elevated? Was it getting more minutes on the court, or was there more than meets the eye here?
I would definitely say it's just having a growth mindset. I mean, coming in as a freshman, just getting thrown into the fire immediately, there are definitely some growing pains, but I had a great coaching staff. Coach Mack was always there on my shoulder helping me. So just being able to take each step one at a time and just being able to take everything as a learning. And then now I'm in a good position to lead this team and in a good position to help us win some games. So.
Jackson, I want to bring you into the conversation. Curious to get your thoughts on some of the items that I was just discussing with Brandon. the trio of juniors that we were talking about. Why is this group perhaps really coming into its own this season? And perhaps people should be excited that that's going to show up on the court consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the past 2 years, we've really been fortunate to get opportunities on the court, which is the best way to develop. There's really no substitute for live in-game reps. And the three of us have had a lot of those the last couple of years. And that's really put us in this position to really take that next step as juniors. Like the Big Three is a great nickname, but we still have to earn that nickname. Like we really haven't done anything to earn that nickname yet. So it's just time to put all the work that we've put in behind the scenes. We have to put that on display for everybody to see. And that's what we're going to be striving to do this year. So it's exciting for sure.
The Big Green, the Big Three, there's a lot of bigs in terms of your neck of the woods. So it's a natural flow from that standpoint. When you look at the loss of Dushan that I was talking about earlier, Jackson, what is your mindset in terms of his absence? Do you look at it as, hey, there's more opportunities now for everybody to chip in from an offensive standpoint? And what David was talking about, your head coach, the fact that the system is going to evolve and change. I'm curious from a player's lens, what do you think that means?
Yeah, I mean, Dushan was a phenomenal player for us. I mean, he could really, really score the ball. And when you lose a scorer like that, I think like Coach talked about, it's not really on one guy to sort of just step in and score all those points. We have to do it collectively. And I think that's a good thing because in my experience, the best teams are the ones that have multiple threats on the court, and you can't just lock in on one guy and really try to stop one guy. So I think we're in really good position to do that. And I think the offense we're installing this year is going to give us a lot of opportunities to sort of spread the wealth and give multiple guys chances to score points, which is great.